right, hi everybody, Jen Hyla here. I am recording this live as I am live on Instagram, and I'm going to be sharing a bit of my book today, the Lyme Ease Survival Guidebook. So go ahead, if you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. And let me know where you're watching from as well. I'm going to be putting some links of where you can find this book, as well as a link to my holiday sale, which I have a few more of these left. I'm offering signed copies with shipping included within the US for $20. You can find it now also on Amazon and on Kindle. So check it out, the Lyme Ease Survival Guidebook. And yeah, I'm going to read a bit from this book. I'll start with the introduction. And I'm going to just share quickly like why I was so inspired to write this book. I had a really horrific journey with late-stage Lyme disease. Like so many Lyme patients out there, I was misdiagnosed with arthritis and a slew of other syndromes that had no root cause for about 4 years until I developed the neurological symptoms of Lyme disease and became basically bedridden for a year and a half. So it took me, at the time of getting sick, I was in the Air Force and bounced around from clinic doctor to clinic doctor. Nobody knew what was going on, and I really had to advocate for myself and ask for a Lyme test first of all. And then once I had the diagnosis, I thought, oh wow, people will know what to do with this, right? But to my complete shock and surprise, Lyme disease, late-stage Lyme disease especially, is very controversial, very complex illness to treat and to heal from. And, our mainstream doctors are not, they are bound by the CDC guidelines, which are very out of date. And I think it's about 1 in 5 Lyme patients are developing chronic or lifelong symptoms. You have about 40% chance of failing those CDC protocols, and it's a long, terrible journey, and I had to learn so many things the hard way. So luckily for me, I had a scientific background. I had studied biology and botany, and I was able to really lean in on that training and look through the peer-reviewed studies, go into my doctor's appointments armed with information, and really was able to take control of my treatments and start healing instead of just treating. So I wrote this book. Throughout my whole healing journey, I was taking tons and tons of notes. I had just Google Docs filled with links to studies and all kinds of things. And so I just was inspired to get this into more hands because it really took me a very long time to get all of this understood and get myself on that healing path. And I wanted to make it easier for other people. So I wrote all my notes down, I got it edited, I edited it again, and I got some beautiful illustrations by Courtney Carroll. And we got this book out in May 2020, and so far it has shipped to 8 different countries. I have gotten just hundreds and hundreds of messages from people saying how much this has helped them. I've had people who have been sick for 20 years, and they're like, wow, the information in this book was so freaking helpful. I finally got my life back after 20 years. And then I've also, on the other spectrum, I've had people who are just newly diagnosed, didn't know where to start, and they found those steps of where to go and what to do in this book. So no matter if you've been sick for decades or if you're just experiencing this for the first time, this book has something in it in it for everybody. And I've really took a lot of time and care into writing this book with just clear, concise information. I really kept the brain fog and the cognitive symptoms of Lyme in mind when I wrote this book. And yeah, just wanted to make it as accessible and easy to follow. So without further ado, I'm going to read from it. I'm going to wet my whistle here. And if you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments. And I will get back to, and I will get to them right after the reading. I'll probably read for about 15 minutes here, just through the introduction and the first chapter. And yeah, it's the Lyme Ease Survival Guidebook if you're just joining in. All right, and here we go. So I dedicated this book for the Lyme patient who refuses to give up on themselves. These words are all for you. Never give up. All right, so part 1, introduction. And I'll show you this beautiful little illustration. So here we go. This is going to be, I don't know that I've actually read this out loud. All right, I got some Hi Gemsec, Hi Monster Inside Me movie. I'm very excited you guys are here. Thank you for joining. All right, so here we go. I'm just waving at people, sorry. Okay. So, introduction, the Lyme Ease Survival Guidebook, if you're just joining in. All right. Lying in bed, unable to feel my arms and legs from a mysterious illness, I was almost fascinated by what was going on, if only it wasn't happening to me. I had been an active field biologist only weeks before. Now my body was completely shutting down. My doctors and I were stumped as test after test came back negative. As I was being referred from specialist to specialist, my health was declining rapidly. I began to lose cognitive abilities and developed vision problems. I lost my depth perception and my ability to drive. I can't tell you how many dishes I broke thinking the table was closer to me than it was. I developed a terrifying memory problem that my doctor called intermittent amnesia. I was having daily panic attacks, and no one seemed to know what was happening. Eventually, I went to see the best gastroenterologist in the city. The guy had no bedside manner, and as I cried trying to explain the long list of symptoms I was going through, he bluntly suggested I ask my general doctor for a Lyme test. I remember leaving that appointment feeling like I had been blown off. I asked my doctor to do a Lyme test simply to rule it out. To my complete surprise, a few weeks later, I was told I had an unequivocally positive Lyme test. My first response was, that can't be right. Isn't Lyme an East Coast problem? There is no arguing with this result, my doctor explained. The test had come back IgG and IgM positive, meaning I had the acute and chronic markers for Lyme disease. I didn't know a thing about Lyme disease, but my doctor said it would explain all the mysterious symptoms I had been experiencing over the last 4 years. Once I had the late-stage Lyme diagnosis, I imagined I'd be placed on some sort of healing conveyor belt. My doctors would surely know what to do. Now my only responsibility will be to rest and heal, I thought. Little did I know the diagnosis would only reveal one layer of a complex and controversial illness that would require complex treatment and years of healing. There was so much conflicting information online, and my doctors didn't have many answers for me. With loads of unanswered questions, I started scouring PubMed for peer-reviewed studies and the latest treatment options. It was incredibly difficult to wrap my mind around what was happening through all the brain fog, the headaches, and the fatigue. Years later, in hopes of making it easier for others, I began writing out my countless hours of research and what I've learned through my own healing journey and what I've learned through mentoring other Lyme patients. Over time, this guidebook slowly took shape. It is filled with the things I wish I had known from the beginning. My hope is this information leaves you feeling empowered and brings ease to your healing journey. So just disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor and this work should not be taken in lieu of medical advice. This work is reflective of my views and is not reflective of the views of any affiliated brands. This work has not been reviewed by a medical doctor, nor the CDC or the FDA. I do not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure any illness. This work is for educational purposes. Whatever the reader decides to do with this information is up to them. The author takes no responsibility for any action taken from the information shared here, now, or in the future. Okay? So, that's a little bit of the introduction there. And now, Chapter 1, Part 1, Chapter 1. This is all about what is Lyme disease. So it's going to explain everything I had wished I had known right at the beginning before I even stepped out of that doctor's office where I had been diagnosed with Lyme. I wish she had been able to inform me of some of this stuff. So here we go. Chapter 1, what is Lyme disease? Lyme disease has been nicknamed the Great Imitator because it can manifest with over 300 different symptoms and mimic nearly any illness, making diagnosis difficult. Lyme disease is caused by a bacterial infection of Borrelia burgdorferi. B. burgdorferi is a very complex spirochete-shaped bacterium. It has the most complex DNA genome of any bacteria found on Earth. Its features are so complex. When it was first discovered, this bacterium was originally classified with parasitic organisms in the protozoa family. Unlike all other bacteria, its unique genetic makeup allows it to move rapidly, adapt, defend, and evade its host's immune system. World-renowned Lyme expert Dr. Richard Horowitz describes Lyme disease as a persistent multi-system infection that can infect any and every organ of the body. Dr. Horowitz has coined the term multiple system infectious disease syndrome, or MSIDS, M-S-I-D-S is the acronym, to define cases of chronic or late-stage Lyme disease in his best-selling book, Why Can't I Get Better? The early symptoms of Lyme disease include a bullseye rash, fatigue, flu-like symptoms, including fever and swollen glands, headache, stiff neck, neuropathy, facial nerve dysfunction, often mislabeled as Bell's palsy. Disseminated or late-stage Lyme disease symptoms include, but are not limited to, fatigue, rashes, headaches, migraines, neck stiffness, joint swelling, pain, neuropathy, cognitive dysfunction, memory impairment, change in sleep patterns, heart palpitations, chest pain, shortness of breath, lightheadedness, fainting, gastrointestinal symptoms, psychological changes including depression, anxiety, and mood swings. When was the first case of Lyme disease? The oldest record of B. burgdorferi infection comes from a 5,300-year-old mummy named Otzi. Otzi was discovered in the Otzal Alps in 1991 and is the oldest European mummy ever found. Although he died from an arrow wound, his remains have revealed some fascinating discoveries about Lyme disease. Otzi was found with 61 tattoos along his joints and lower back. These tattoos were painstakingly made with small incisions and charcoal. Each tattoo is made of small lines that align with traditional acupuncture points, so it is widely speculated that these tattoos were made for medicinal purposes. He was also found with plants and medicinal herbs tied to his belt and in his stomach that contained anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and antiparasitic properties. With these findings, we can make an educated guess that Otzi was likely experiencing the migrating joint pain and bone pain that Lyme patients describe today. Recent research at the University of Toronto suggests that Otzi may have suffered from significant bone loss from Lyme disease. Although osteoarthritis, bone, and joint pain are common symptoms among Lyme patients, the link between bone loss and Lyme disease is only now being explored. Many symptoms of Lyme disease, such as the bullseye rash, have been described in ancient medical texts, but Lyme disease was not officially discovered and named until 1974. Dr. Willie Burgdorferi made the discovery after an outbreak of juvenile arthritis in Lyme, Connecticut, turned out to be caused by the complex bacteria. Officially classified by the CDC in 1981, Lyme disease cases have been increasing every single year since. Once considered endemic to the East Coast, Lyme disease is now considered the fastest spreading vector-borne disease in the world. It has been found on every continent, even Antarctica. Current predictions estimate 2 million Lyme cases annually in 2020 in the United States alone. All right, I read one more section. How do you get Lyme disease? Although most commonly spread by tick bites, studies are indicating that mosquitoes, spiders, sandflies, and fleas may be capable of spreading Lyme disease. In the book Healing Lyme by Dr. Stephen Booner, he states, although the number of spirochetes tends to be lower in mosquitoes than in ticks, the spirochetes are established in them. Regular transmission through alternate routes such as mosquitoes, mites, biting flies, although lower than that of ticks, does occur. It is likely that the majority of those who contract Lyme are infected by ticks in their first larval and second nymph stages of growth. These ticks can be the size of the period at the end of the sentence, and their bite is completely painless. The saliva of the tick contains numbing agents that allow them to stay attached up to several days unnoticed. Tick saliva also contains a cement-like material that hardens around the bite site. It is speculated that the unique compounds in tick saliva play a role in the transmission of Lyme disease, as studies done with needle inoculation in lab animals fail to produce the same results as tick bites do. Warmer winters have allowed for longer breeding season, and the world is seeing a rapid spread and growth in both tick populations and Lyme disease. Once infected, a tick may pass pathogens to its 3,000 to 5,000 offspring, which can survive up to a year without a meal. Ticks rarely carry B. burgdorferi alone. Many Lyme patients discover they have several tick-borne infections, referred to as co-infections. These co-infections can cause their own long list of symptoms as well. The website tickencounter.org provides information to help identify the tick and which illnesses are associated with each species of tick. B. burgdorferi transmission has also been recorded through blood transfusion, organ transplant, and congenitally passed from mother to fetus. Spirochetes can disseminate to any location in the body, and live spirochetes have been found in brain tissue, bone, saliva, tears, semen, and vaginal excretions. Sexual transmission is widely speculated in the Lyme community, but research is sparse, and animal studies have not proven sexual transmission possible. All right, everybody, so there we go. That was about 15 minutes of reading. I've got, well, we're about halfway through part 1. So the book is actually in 4 different parts. Part 1 has a few different little sub-chapters here, and we got through 3 of them. There's 3 more. So maybe if you really are enjoying this, let me know in the comments, and I can do another live reading in a few days, or next week maybe. So let me know. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments as well. The part 1 further goes into how Lyme disease works in the body, how testing works. I explain all the different testing options, how to protect yourself from Lyme, tips on tick checking and treating your yard, and learning the early signs of Lyme, why Lyme treatment's considered controversial, and why Lyme treatment's controversial. It kind of also goes in how to find some support, financial, emotional, and doctor support there. Then part 2 goes more into your Lyme treatment options. And again, I have several sub-chapters. It's broken up very easily, so you can just go back and reference this information anytime. And so part 2 is all about your Lyme treatment options. Part 3 is about never giving up and the mental and emotional efforts you're going to need, and some resources and tips in there as well. And there's over 100 different peer-reviewed resources in this book, so that you can dive even deeper if you want to. There is so much, and then I also have a list of references in the back here, just some of my favorite Lyme education books, support groups, documentaries, foundations and grants to be following, Lyme education websites I like. Yeah, so I really put a lot of hard work into this to save you guys the legwork, because like I said, it took me about 4 years of just eating, sleeping, breathing, reading nothing but Lyme disease information to heal. So yeah, I don't want you to have to go through that. Pick up my book. It's going to save you tons of time, tons of money, tons of pain, tons of just frustration that comes with the healing journey of Lyme disease. So again, my book is the Lyme Ease Survival Guidebook. You can find it right now on Amazon or Kindle. And I also have in my holiday sale page on my website, I have a few more copies left. I am offering a signed copy with shipping within the US included for just $20. If you're interested in that and you need the link, let me know below. If you have any questions about the book or anything I read today, let me know. And yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. And the sale is going on till January 1st, so I've got quite a few little options in there. You can check out my revitalizing smoothie recipes for $5. I've got $20 off my online course, Breathing for Health, and then this signed copy of the Lyme Ease Survival Guidebook for $20. I think there's 8 left, so get on that if you're interested. And again, you can get it right now today on Kindle or on Amazon. And I've just heard from so many people, like I say, that it has shipped to 8 different countries so far, and just so many people, no matter if they have been recently diagnosed or they have been fighting this battle for decades, there's something in this book for everybody. And yeah, I'm just excited, inspired, feel motivated to get it into more hands, because boy, oh boy, would it have saved me so much trouble if I had something like this back when I was first diagnosed. So, all right, everybody, thanks so much for watching, and let me know in the comments if you enjoyed and you want me to do another book reading. Let me know, and yeah, happy holidays. I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.